Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in a different setting. I am not in the dark, damp, cold office that I normally find myself in. I am here in Charleston, South Carolina, with some incredible people. As always, we got Brad.
How's it going, guys? I'm a little jealous I'm not down there yet. I will be tomorrow, but I am a little jealous, I'll be honest.
Come on. And we have the man who's normally behind the camera, but in front of the camera, Silas. How are you doing today,
That's
sir?
right, man. I'm doing great. Great to be here. Exciting week for everyone, really.
Yeah, it is.
Super excited to be here.
I was thinking through as we were recording this today. I'm like, normally I'll like make a note of like, oh, Silas will throw this on the screen. And I was like, I'm gonna have to phrase that differently today because it's like, oh no, when am I? Yeah, all this. So it's gonna be fantastic, and very excited to have you on, sir.
Yeah.
Brad, how is it just as hot up there as it is down here?
Yeah, I threw the discs we're going to talk about later today. I actually threw them at like 7 o'clock this morning or so, and already it's just like so humid. Luckily, I have my Flippy
same.
disc golf shirt on, and so it wasn't terrible. I didn't feel sticky, but man, it's hot already. So I know I'm going to drive into some more humidity and some more weather, but hey, with good company, you don't really think about the heat, I suppose, right?
Amen. But you mentioned that Flippy shirt. I think it's a great time to talk about our today's sponsor.
Yeah, let's jump into this ad read real quick, tell you a little bit about Flippy, and then we'll get into the episode. Do you want to look fresh on the disc golf course? Well, polos are for ball golf. Find your new style today at Flippy Disc Golf. Flippy creates super soft, stretchy, and lightweight jerseys with men and women disc golfers in mind. The lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric keeps you cool on the course and lets you throw smooth and freely without any snagging or stickiness. Flippy also offers customization to your jerseys, perfect for tournament player packs, doubles teams, or sponsored players. All Foundation viewers receive 10% off with code Foundation10 at checkout. That's you in the bag, listeners. This deal only lasts a week, so order online now at flippydiscgolf.com, link in the description. And hey, I will say, ad read aside, I'm wearing a shirt right now. Don't know if you can see it. It's Foundation customized here. I believe this is called their Recon jersey. So I'm loving that. But I know Silas and I are big fans of Flippy Disc Golf, despite the ad read. I was out this morning. It was super humid, and I'm sweating like crazy, but I don't feel like that. I mean, it really does moisture wick. It's not sticking to my body, and it dries very quickly. By the time I came from the field to the warehouse, which is about like a 5-minute drive, my shirt was already dry. So I've been extremely pleased with mine. Silas, what about you?
Yeah, man. It's been like 100% humidity down here in Charleston, and man, let me tell you, the moisture wicking is phenomenal. The customization is phenomenal. We got Foundation branding on the sides, on the sleeves. Just really good product nonetheless.
Yeah, and Robbie's actually getting his first Flippy disc golf shirts this week too.
I'm excited.
So.
All the hype. I love a good shirt, and as someone, who it joins Brad in the I think about going outside, and all of a sudden I'm just like sweating. I am very excited to have a good shirt because we were talking before we recorded that, a dry fit sometimes just feels like it's like a second layer of skin when you're playing in this much humidity. And so, if Flippy can fix that, I'll flip. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and they have some sweet hats too. So the hat I'm wearing right now is their, I believe they call the feather hat, flat bill. So loving that too. So very happy with them. Thank you, Flippy, for sponsoring this podcast and also the whole Charleston weekend. The whole Creators Cup tournament is sponsored by Flippy. They've went above and beyond. Made us some sick jerseys. Actually went ahead and made Robbie one just for fun, and he doesn't know what his nickname says on the back yet, Silas. So excited
all
for
right.
him to see that today. So
Sick.
Anyway, thank you, Flippy Disc Golf. Let's get into the episode.
All right, so Silas, we have you here looking at your bag. You have it looks like there is Trilogy in there. Yep. So you have 3 different manufacturers represented. You got the classics, right? Discraft, Innova, and then a little bit of Trilogy, just like Salt Bay sprinkled in there. So I love it. Let's start off with your distance drivers. Talk through one thing that I do notice is that you have you have no duplicates of molds
Yeah.
in your bag.
Yeah.
So talk me through that a little bit. Obviously, we've in the podcast we talked before about like I believe in that subconscious confidence, things like that. Is it because are you still because you've not been playing that long, right?
No, yeah. So me and Brad, we kind of got into it the same time of the year during the COVID boom and all that. So
We played
I
our
think
first round together, by the way.
We did.
Our very
We
first
did.
round we played together.
Yeah, that was big moment there. Like a year and a half, a year and 9 months.
Yeah,
going
year
on
and
2
9
years.
months. Yeah,
something
we're
like
very
that.
close. This fall it'll be 2 years for us.
Okay. Yeah. 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 So 2 years. It's been great though. Love it.
Okay.
And Silas, before we jump in your bag, do you want to let's get to know you as a player a little bit?
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. I got so excited in my different environment.
Oh, I know. Well, you're just seeing disc everywhere on those walls, and you're just like, hey, let's talk about discs.
It's a lot
We
to
gotta
take
go.
in.
Yeah. So, Robbie, let's walk Silas through our normal questions that we're asking our
Yeah,
viewers here to get to
absolutely.
know him a little bit better.
So been playing, like I said, a year and 9 months in that range. So how far would you say is your controlled max distance?
Okay. Like if I'm throwing that Nuke SS, probably like 350
Okay.
backhand, 350 backhand.
That's awesome. Okay. And then if you're saying forehand, how far are you tossing a forehand out?
Forehand on like a flex line. Are we talking flex line or just like golf line?
However you want to get there.
Perfect.
If it's how far out are you like, I can throw forehand and
All
I feel
right.
like I can reach a hole that is
Okay.
this length.
Probably a little bit further than that on the forehand, just because I feel like the forehand's a little bit more powerful right now.
Yeah.
So like probably 365.
Okay. That's some
I can
good
validate
distance.
that. I've seen him throw that. You throw your Thrasher on forehand, right? Mainly?
Yeah. I do love the Raptor, and I've been really loving the Destroyer on forehand recently. So
The Destroyer is money. That there's a reason that it feels like so many companies duplicate the Destroyer.
Yeah, that's
So,
right. That's right.
Okay, no, that's awesome. Are we line you up now? Sounds like you got a cannon, especially if you're being this new to the game. So let's talk about putting.
All right.
We get to putting. You have 10 putts from 15 feet, 25, and 40 feet. How many are you making?
15 feet, not Pete.
15 Pete's. Line them up in a row. How many are you hitting?
15 feet. I'm probably making 9 out of those, 9 out of 10, just because there's always that one that is. I always miss one. I feel like in almost every round I miss one of those silly putts that I should be making. So.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
And then what was the other 20?
25 and then 40.
25. Okay, I'm probably making. I'll say half.
Okay.
I'll say
Yeah.
half. I think, and then 40, maybe 2,
Okay.
maybe 3,
Yeah.
something like that.
Giving it a chance, putting it in the right direction. You feel like
Yeah.
from 40, you can get it in the vicinity of
Yeah,
the
I really
basket.
like the step putt. I've been really liking the step putt recently. So I think that gets me there. And one thing I do like about the step putt is when you're going, it seems like it doesn't go as far away from the basket as maybe a jump putt would.
That is so fascinating that you say that. As an aside, let us know in the comments, let us know in reviews because we appreciate all of it. I have this dream in my heart of having, because I feel like Hunter and Brody both have really good step putts. I have this idea of what if we recorded like a how to make a step putt for the foundation channel.
There you go.
That could be. I feel like that could be good. So if you guys want
Yeah.
to see that, let us know. We're always looking for new content here on the Foundation Network in general because there's a lot of content coming out, y'all. So, okay, awesome. I'm with you on that step putt because the jump putt, it's like a pet peeve of mine when people just love throwing jump putts because I'm like, you realize how much control you're sacrificing, right? So
Yeah.
that's good to know. All right, so okay, 40 feet. We're step putting. We're hitting 2 out of 3. That is awesome. What is the biggest strength of your game?
Probably just the forehand right now, and it differs. It changes.
Okay.
So it's never, when I first started, it was putting. I used to like drain putts, but I couldn't throw far at all. So now I feel like the forehand is probably the strongest part of the game.
Okay. That is awesome.
I can validate that as well. It's an impressive forehand, He's like 80 feet tall, so the way he can like whip that forehand out there it's impressive. Shorter mortals here are I'm a little jealous of the mechanics there.
And it's fascinating to me as well because Brad, I know you would not say a forehand is a strength of your game by any
Mm-mm.
means, especially the distance forehand. So it's always I love seeing how players develop. Of y'all started literally at the same time, and that shot, it's just how you end up leaning on one or another. Do you have like a background in sports at all?
Not too much. I played football in high school. A little bit. Believe freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
And then yeah, that's pretty much it. So I feel like I've always been like in the outdoors, kind of active, but not like super athletic, I would say.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. Brad, I've not thought about this before. Like I'm sitting here looking at Silas's hands. Do you have big hands, Brad?
Me? Yeah,
Yeah.
for my size, I would say for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Like Silas, your hands are massive. They seem, but that makes sense
Yeah.
because you're a big guy. So like that fits. So I've always wondered like on forehands that like people talk about like the lankiness of your arms and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I also always wonder for like forehands. I'll have to talk to Josh and like other coaches and stuff about this. Like I wonder if literally the lankiness of your fingers, like depending on how you grip the disc, if
Ah.
longer fingers give another extra rotation point. Like I don't know
Well,
if that makes sense.
Okay.
can I my thought is although my hands are bigger, my fingers are like thick. So it's
Okay.
hard for me like sorry for audio listeners, but this stacked grip here is
Yeah.
really hard for me. That's why I do this like almost like a power grip sort of thing like this.
Yeah.
Or I forget
Okay.
exactly the name for this grip, but that's
Yeah.
the only
Power
grip I
is a-
found it's the only grip that has really been comfortable to me. But like my fingers are thick. My finger takes up more. I mean, half of my finger takes up this entire rim.
Yeah.
So
And that's on a mid.
this,
So
yeah, it's on a
Mhm.
mid.
Yeah.
So drivers, you can imagine, I feel like I have no room on this stacked grip.
totally
So
fair.
now that I've been using this power grip, I do feel like it's more stable. It's sitting more comfortably back in my hand. And we were playing our weekly the other day, Silas, and on Falling Creek. I think it's hole. Is it 6 where you come back up to the top of the hill and it's the one tucked in the line of trees and it's basically a forehand off the tee?
I think that's 8.
Yeah, you're right. It is 8.
I think
But
that's
I have been liking the Thrasher on forehand. Like I said, I've been typically throwing that backhand, but I parked that basket. I was only like 15 feet,
Oh,
pin
awesome.
high. So it's getting there. It's just getting comfortable. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ever going to have like biologically with my hands. I don't know if I'm ever going to have like this super comfortable forehand. So it's just going to be, hey, I break it out. I mean, that hole's what, 260 or something like
Yeah.
that.
It's not super
So-
far, but it kind of bends to the right.
Yeah, you have to have
So
about
it's
300
definitely
feet
a
of
forehand
power.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just accepting like, hey, that's my shot if I have a forehand off the tee, I can get out to 250 if I need 300 feet of power, that sort of thing. And then for everything else, I'm going to lean on those understable discs. So sorry on the tangent there, but yeah, I think that's definitely. I think the finger length width definitely has to have something to do with the forehand.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's a great
For
point.
sure, because everybody can wrap their hand underneath in some form or fashion on the backhand, unless you have. But funny enough, I think females actually, like especially if they have like the longer acrylic nails, I actually have them end up throwing a lot more forehands because they can set the pad flat on the bottom of the disc.
Yeah.
So
That makes
My
sense.
wife primarily throws forehand, and which is interesting. And I'll say one more thing while we're just talking about grip, and we'll talk about this like with this episode. We're gonna talk mid ranges with Silas, not to spoil it, but I think there's also a reason that even mid ranges I'm fan gripping everything just because I still feel it's the feel in the hand, and I crunching all of my digits on the rim. Driver is just kind of how you have to throw it, but
Yeah.
it feels like I have more space if I put that finger on the top and fan out these fingers it's for control too, right? But
Yeah.
it's more of a comfort thing for me.
that's totally fair.
So
Speaking of drivers, all right. So Silas,
Yeah.
you have 7 drivers in your bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 drivers. 6 drivers because the vulture crosses that 10 speed. So we're
Okay.
going to call it a distance driver. Do you consider your heat a distance driver as well, like in your mind, or you call it a fairway?
I would say a fairway. It feels more like a fairway to me, but
Yeah. Okay. I would also agree with you. It's a fairway, but some people live in that like 9 speed and up is distance driver category,
Uh-huh.
and I think those people are crazy. So the Vulture though, that's a 10 speed. It's up there. So you've got 6 different distance drivers, and there seems to be like, so walk me through sort of a why why 6 unique ones.
yeah. Okay. Um, so what's first on there? Nuke and Nuke SS.
Yeah, Nuke and Nuke SS.
Okay, Nuke. Also, I want to preface this with I do work at a disc golf company,
That's fair.
and we do see a lot of discs go in and out, and so my bag is changing constantly.
Amen.
So just want to throw that out there.
It's a revolving door. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good.
But Nuke and Nuke SS, Nuke SS, I just like to put a ton of hyzer for like a really far like furthest distance shot on backhand. Never throw that forehand, but just a great just rip out there, let it hyzer flip up and turn and let it fade back.
Okay.
As far as Nuke, I really like that on the forehand. And that one is a brand new Nuke, and so it's pretty overstable.
Okay.
So I can just kind of flex it.
Yeah.
For that max distance on the forehand, I would say.
What plastic is your Nuke in?
That's ESP Swirl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your Nuke SS also ESP?
No, so that's the foundation. That's the Glow Z Glow. I think it's
Okay.
Z Glow Nuke SS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so Nuke overstable. What makes you choose between the Nuke and then we head down to the Destroyer?
Yeah. So as I like the feel of the Destroyer better.
Okay.
So if it's a shot where I need like super max distance, I'll go Nuke. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going Destroyer just because I like the feel of it better.
Okay, so you throw the Nuke. In theory, you throw the Nuke better, but you like the feel of the
Yes.
Destroyer more.
Yep.
Okay, that is first off, I am totally with you. For me, I throw Raiders farther than I throw Destroyers, and it's not even close. It's like 30 or 40 feet. But I'm with you. I love throwing. I love the feel in the hand of a Destroyer, so I don't bag Raiders.
Yeah.
And so for listeners, I think you also have to decide this decision in your head of sometimes a disc feels great and the comfort and confidence that you get from that feel
Yeah.
is worth it over having the extra distance. So something that I might suggest is if the Nuke flies better for you or it flies farther, rather than just leaning on that Nuke, get a backup Destroyer and just don't throw it, leave it in the bag, and then just crank on that Destroyer that you like a lot. And as it beats in, because instead of like sometimes I need that max distance shot, so I'm going to throw the Nuke, you'll beat in that Destroyer faster, and then it's going to close that gap because it's not going to be such a fresh disc.
Yeah.
Just as a possible suggestion there.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you think about that?
Yeah. No, it's funny, Silas, like I'm seeing your bag and I'm like reminiscing about my bag at the start of this podcast versus now. And I had some of these similar, like, because really, I mean, if you're being honest, the Nuke and the Destroyer, how much farther is the Nuke going than the Destroyer, honestly?
I mean, 20, 25 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
But you're more comfortable with the Destroyer. It feels
That's right.
better for you. So, I mean, to me, like that Nuke is gone. Take it out of the bag. It's not that it's not good, but it's just giving you less space for Destroyers, like Robbie said, where you could even put in different plastic Destroyers and experiment with that. Just because you're already comfortable with the mold. What plastic's your Destroyer in?
It's in Star. Yeah, just a generic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Destroyer.
am I right, Robbie, in saying he could do a Star Destroyer and then maybe even a Champ Destroyer, and the Champ Destroyer should be a little bit more overstable than the Star, correct?
Yeah, you'd be able to crank on it a lot more. You could find, you could find certain runs of like the black Calvin Halo destroyers. The black ones are supposedly flippier than like the rest of them from this year. That's crazy to me, but
Yeah.
that's what the internet's saying, so it's obviously true.
And we have
But
those Philo Halo destroyers here too, Silas, that you
Oh,
could
yeah.
probably try out as well. I imagine
Sweet.
those are probably more overstable, right, Robbie?
yeah, I'd try one of those, and then really, I'd look at a pro destroyer.
Okay.
Like, have you thrown any pro plastic?
No, I have seen it though.
Yeah.
I have been interested.
I would be willing to bet that with the person with Hunter being your boss, there is no way that Hunter does not have a pro destroyer
All right.
in his collection. You'll have to ask him like,
All
hey,
right.
can I just wanna test it. I'll take it to
Yeah.
Fallen Creek. I can't lose it. Just rip it. So
Definitely.
just as an option there. The Thrasher.
Mm-hmm.
When do you pull the Thrasher out versus the Nuke SS?
Okay. Yeah. So Thrasher, I feel like the Nuke SS is just a lot more flippy. So
Okay.
I've got to put a lot more hyzer on it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like a max distance shot.
Okay.
I have less control over that Nuke SS than I do the Thrasher. I feel like I can throw the Thrasher on just like a good golf line,
Yeah.
so not like super high. It's more of a controlled distance rather than a max distance.
Okay.
If that
So
makes
like
sense.
if you were playing Trophy Lakes yesterday,
Yeah.
you would probably have thrown the Thrasher more than the Nuke SS.
Yes.
Just because of the wild
The lines, the
yeah.
water, all that stuff.
Okay. That's fair. And I think I don't think that's a bad thing to have a disc that you're like, there's no danger and I just need to go far.
Yeah.
Nuke SS. Like that's two different slots, and I'm totally with you on that. Because the Nuke SS is one of those like, I feel like you can find a good Nuke SS that is super flippy, and then you find some that are like, you would think they have to be. You're like that doesn't fly like that at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you got a good one.
Yeah, I
hold
think
on to it.
typically that Discraft's glow plastic is a little bit more stable.
Yeah.
So I think it's great for that max distance shot.
Okay. I love it. I
On
love it.
backhand.
On backhand. So your Vulture, what slot, like what does the Vulture come out?
Yeah, so that's new in the bag actually. But that comes out on forehand a lot. I don't even think I've thrown it backhand.
Interesting.
You are
But-
missing out, Silas. You are missing out.
That's
Everyone
ahead.
knows I love the Vulture. What plastic is yours in, Silas?
it's TI Swirl. I believe it's a Ledgestone run of this year.
Oh, okay.
TI Swirl.
I bag a TI, just a regular TI Vulture, that I found in the used section. It was just like, look, it was glaring at me. I had to get it. That thing, oh my gosh. So my other Vulture is a Z Vulture, which I love, and it's kind of beat in now where I can actually flip it. Believe it or not, it'll actually flip up for me a little bit. It'll go very straight for about 220 feet, and then it will just dive. And it'll flip up, go straight, and dive. I don't know. I find myself needing that line a ton. And it was pretty overstable when I first got it, obviously, but I don't know whether it's like how beat in it has gotten that it will flip up for me, or how much faster my arm has gotten. I'm not sure. Maybe probably a combination of both. But the TI one is definitely more flippy than the Z. And again, I don't know the history of that one. It's like really beat in, you can tell, but it shocked me how much more distance I got out of the TI one. And so that's just a tangent, but the Vulture is like really. How does I'm curious, and sorry, Robbie, if I'm taking your question here, but how does the Vulture fly compared to your Wraith?
Yeah. So I feel like the Wraith just goes a little bit further, and it's more overstable. So that's a Halo Wraith, and those are pretty. That is pretty beefy for
Yep.
even for me. So.
Yeah. What is it? One of the double G, like the ring wraith looking Halo wraiths? Do you know?
I don't think it's double G. I don't think it's got a name on it, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. It might just be someone. Especially if it's one of the OG Halo wraiths.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are like. Oh.
Yeah, I
they're
remember the
so
first time I
beefy.
threw it, and it was so much more. It was the first time I had ever thrown a Wraith, like at
Ooh,
all, and
yeah.
it was a Halo Wraith. and that thing was so overstable. I was like, what have I gotten myself into?
My favorite driver of all time is a Wraith, and so that hurts my heart to be like, oh, his only race he's thrown are the super overstable ones. But
Yeah.
honestly, star Wraiths can also be very varied, and they're like, you'll find a good one, you'll find a bad one.
Yeah.
So classic Innova distance drivers. I think I feel like in a similar vein of the nuke and the okay, so you throw your destroyer on backhand. Do you ever throw it or on forehand? Do you ever throw it on backhand?
For like a flex line, like any flex out,
Okay.
like an S line, I have thrown it. Yeah.
Okay. But if you needed reliable, like I'm gonna guess like 310, 320 of backhand distance that's gonna fade, that's where the Wraith's coming out? Or does the Vulture kind of hold that slot?
I think the Wraith holds that.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Vulture would be a little too straight to hit that slot?
I haven't thrown it on backhand.
Oh, you haven't thrown it on backhand. You said that.
So I don't know.
That's on me. That's
Throw,
on me.
throw it on backhand.
Yeah,
'cause, I mean, realistically, Silas, it seems to me like the Vulture, maybe, and this hurts my heart, but maybe the Vulture's not even necessary how you're describing it right now. So I'd be curious to see how you throw it on backhand to see if it really gives you a different flight that you don't have right now. Because, I mean, yeah, to me, Robbie, and I think maybe your heat covers this, like you're really missing that super understable driver / fairway driver. So maybe the heat's that for you.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a good transition because I think if the Vulture if it works on a backhand, I think the Wraith can come out, and I think if the Vulture doesn't work on backhand, I think it comes out and you can forehand the Wraith like it balances
that makes sense.
itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's just your distance drivers are also closely grouped together.
Yeah.
that
And
it's-
I feel like I haven't found exactly what I'm looking for yet.
That's fair.
I'm
so
searching.
there's
Shopping around.
Hey, and good news is you work at a disc golf shop. So
Yeah,
like with a
that's
good
right.
U section, and it sounds like y'all have one of the best ones in the world.
Yeah.
That's the best place if you want to try drivers. The U section at your local shop is incredible for that because
Absolutely.
usually people have also done the hard work generally
Yes.
to beat it in a little bit, so it's
Right.
not fresh off the shelf. So fairway drivers, let's dive into those real fast. You have 2 fairway drivers in the bag. You've got a heat and a stalker. What do we use those for?
Yeah, so the stalker, it feels like we can get to mid ranges, but it almost feels like a mid range to me.
Okay.
But I feel like it's the only stalker I've thrown, but I feel like it's flippy for a stalker. I've heard other people talk about stalkers, and like on backhand, it just kind of like flips up and just like rides straight, and then on forehand, I can just. Now, it used to be just like a straight forehand disc. Now
Yeah.
it's kind of almost a hyzer flip forehand because
Okay.
I throw it flat and it kind of turns over.
Okay.
So that's kind of the stalker. And then you said the heat.
Yeah.
The heat is I've had that in for a little bit. It's a really flippy fairway.
Yeah.
So either just backhand like flip up hyzer. I never really throw it on forehand.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you throw if I put you in a field and I said throw your heat on the farthest shot you can and throw your heat, your Nuke SS, and your Thrasher. What is the distance difference going to be if I said just crush them, like get out there and crush those 3?
Like I said, I feel like the Nuke and the Thrasher are gonna be like a 20-foot difference.
Okay.
I feel like the Thrasher and the Heat are gonna be another like 20 feet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I think having that slower so you don't have to go up to the Thrasher, the Heat is flippier than both of those.
Yes.
So I feel like on a tighter wooded line that could be a good disc to like lean on when you can't rip up to a 13 or because the Thrasher's a 12 speed.
Yes. I
Yeah.
believe so.
So you don't have to go up to that max distance driver. The Thrasher could serve you there. That's so interesting you talk about the Stalker that way. Definitely I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Hearing that on mid ranges.
Yeah.
So we're moving and grooving. I want to talk about putters real fast.
Yeah.
So you have five throwing putters in your bag, it looks like,
Yeah.
and then you putt with hopes. So
Yeah.
do you have 2 hopes in your bag?
I do.
So
I
you have
do.
7 putters in your
Yeah.
bag. Hey, I'm a 7
That seems
putter
like a
guy,
lot.
too.
It seems like a
7
lot.
I'm team 7 putter for life. I have 3 pigs, 2 EMAC judges, a polecat, and a Luna right now. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being in the 7 putter
Yeah.
gang, but also I have 7 putters and it's only 4 molds. You have 7
Yeah.
putters and you have 6 molds. So there's some interest there.
Yeah.
So we'll start with overstable. You
Yeah.
have Saki Bomb Slammer, a pig, and a zone.
Yeah.
Walk me through it.
Okay, so we'll go first. Saki Bomb Slammer, just a really super overstable forehand and backhand approach.
Yeah.
Throw it flat, it just hooks up. You can also get some great like flex lines out of it too.
Absolutely.
Just reliable overstability.
Yeah.
Super reliable. Pig. The pig is very flippy. So I actually got it out of our U section, and
Okay.
it's like I think it's R Pro still, but
Okay.
it's super beat in. It doesn't almost even feel like R Pro.
Yeah.
Kind of slick, but it just like I'll throw it flat, it just turns. So it's a very
Interesting.
understable pig,
Interesting.
very beat in. So
Okay.
yeah, and then zone. Yeah, I used to actually bag 3 zones, and which is more of your mold consistency.
Yeah.
So I used to bag a photon zone, which is like my straight forehand
Okay.
approach, and then I used to bag a jawbreaker zone, which
Okay.
is like a little bit more overstable, and then I used to bag get freaky, which is like even more overstable.
Super,
And
yeah.
I found that I wanted even more overstability than the get freaky. So that's why the Saki Bomb Slammer went in.
Makes sense.
And
Okay. Yeah.
then the get freaky almost took the place of that jawbreaker one.
Okay.
So it's not as overstable as the slammer,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty reliable overstability.
Yeah. But the zone actually wants to fly, unlike the slammer.
Yes.
The slammer like comes out of your hand and it's like, where's the ground?
Yes. But I do love that disc because I can throw it as hard as I want, and I know it's only going such and such feet. It's only going 200 feet
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. And that's, I think, when Ricky, that people have to understand when Ricky released that disc, if you've not seen the advertisement of Ricky talking about it, everyone was like, oh, Ricky's got the new pick. It's a Saki Bomb Slammer. No, like,
Yeah.
Ricky still bags harps.
Yes.
So that disc is great, and I would not view the Saki Bomb Slammer as overlap in that. Like when I saw Slammer, I asked Silas when he sent us this bag, is that a Saki Bomb Slammer? Because if it's just a normal Slammer, overlap immediately because like
Yes.
Trevor bags a traditional Slammer,
Right.
Right. So there's a difference between even those. So the Saki Bomb Slammer, totally with you on that. Sounds like the pig. The pig we might be coming back to.
Okay.
And someone's going to clip this and send it and just like ruin my whole career. But it sounds like the pig could come out of your bag.
Oh.
Just depending on how these others go. And I just cried like internally so much
Can we
about
just
saying
take a minute and just like let me just like let that soak in for a second? Okay, I'm good.
But
Go
it's
ahead.
not locked in. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe hopefully. So okay,
Well,
so
I
we
think
got
this.
yeah.
I think this is proof that you can put your discs in. And Silas has already put this up on the screen. Thank you, Silas. We're seeing his bag laid out here. And what program did you use for this, Silas, or what app
The
did
bag?
you use for your bag?
It's called like my disc golf bag, I believe.
Right. So there's a chart, a speed and
Yeah.
stability chart that you're seeing on the screen, and that's just proving that just because that's normally what this disc is does not mean what spot it holds in your bag, right? So
Yes.
because the pig in this case is all the way on the other side of that stability spectrum.
Yeah, like that
on
was
the
probably like
unstable
super
side.
confusing for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Just seeing like pig, but like super flippy pig. So
Yeah. Oh, trust me. I got a super flippy pig.
Yeah.
And it is literally called my precious child. But I also have discs on the other side that help with
Yes.
that. and I throw pigs in other slots. So if you prefer the zone, I would say rather than having a zone and a pig, those feel drastically different in the hand.
Right.
So it's not helping us to bag both. If we could just beat in a jawbreaker zone or something like that. But you also have a stud and a Luna. What do those do?
Yeah. So the stud is like old, trusty, reliable. I've had that thing in the bag since like day one. Just super understable. I just love just the flip up backhand. It just flip up straight. It's amazing. It's probably like my favorite disc in my bag.
Okay, so it's staying in.
It's staying in.
Yep, no problem, no problem. And then what's the Luna do?
Luna. So yeah, that's one I put in the bag and I didn't really know what to expect.
Okay.
Before I had a Banger GT in that slot.
Okay.
And I quickly realized that those two discs are not the same because the Banger GT is a lot more stable than the Luna. I thought the Luna it's in Big Z plastic, and I thought the Luna was going to be more overstable than it actually was, and it's just like straight to understable now.
Okay.
So I think that's coming out of the bag.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I will lock it in. If the stud flies that way for you,
Yeah.
the pig, I would take the pig out. Because when would you be throwing the pig over the stud?
I don't throw the stud on forehand, and maybe I should.
If it's old trusty
Yeah.
and you got a good forehand, why not?
All right.
See if you can put it on some hyzer
Yeah.
and get it to flip up. And like a touch, Brad, I know we've talked about this on the podcast, that uplink for him was that flip up and fly really straight, like super
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
The stud could be that for you.
Definitely.
Pretty comfortably. So, yeah, I would. I can't believe I would ever say that, but I.
Well, see, and my inspiration for like that going in the bag was from you. So I was like, oh, that's a pig. Like Robbie would be so proud of me. Now he's taking me to. Now he's telling me to take it out of the bag. But hey,
the pig isn't for everyone.
yeah.
Just people that like birdies. So it's no. Let's move on to mid ranges. We are moving along. So you have two mids in the bag, and then we'll come back to that stalker and loop it in there. So you have a soul. I'm imagining to be super understable.
Not super understable. It's a first run soul. Brad actually gave it to me, so shout out Brad.
You're welcome.
But I've thrown more flippier souls.
Okay.
So not super flippy, I would say.
Okay.
But it does turn. It does turn.
Okay.
It doesn't come back.
Yeah. So once it gets over, yeah, see you later.
But
brother.
it's not like useless flippy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I totally get that. I totally get that. And that's some people love useless flippy for certain shots.
Yeah.
That ain't me, but that I can see why they would want that. I can definitely see that slot. So
Yeah.
another disc you have, I honestly, you sent it and I was like, that is so rare of a disc. You have a VIP Air Warship. How does that fly for you?
Yeah. So the whole reason it's in the bag is because it's white and I dyed it. So it's got a really sick dye on it. And that's about the only reason I have it in the bag. Just to flex my dyeing skills. Because it looks very cool to me, and I'm proud of how that disc came out.
I respect it. Okay, so we don't throw it.
It's very flippy.
Okay. Is it flippier than your soul?
Yeah.
That's okay. That I thought that would be the case. This is just another. Brad mentioned it, and you can see the graphic on the screen. The Warship is a very neutral disc, and it's on its own. But when you get it in the air plastic, it's going to be lightweight, and so when it beats in it all, it's going to flip even more. So that makes a lot of sense to me. So in my mind, could you take out the soul and just have or is there a fear of you have the soul and the Warship because you don't want to lose the Warship because it looks so good?
Oh no! If I lost the Warship, I would be okay with it.
Okay, so
If I lost the soul, Brad would be looking upon me like he just disowned me as a child.
That's fair.
Yeah, I gave that to Silas probably over a year ago, right,
Yeah.
Silas?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay. So Stalker is your straight option. Straight, but you said it's going to flip up. Does it come back at all? Like, does it fade at all at
Not
the
a
end?
whole lot.
Okay.
It just kind of like straight. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think isn't like a normal stalker like pretty overstable? Or
Yeah.
are they more straight? I don't know.
I think it just depends.
Okay.
For a faster arm, it's going to be a really straight disc. I would liken it to an eagle or a T-bird. You
Oh,
hear people talk
okay.
about
Wow.
those.
Yeah.
So that's to me that's Discraft's because I think flight numbers are like 7.5 minus 1.2
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty beat in too. So like I did not beat that in myself.
Yeah.
I don't take credit for that. But it does fly very nice. So yeah.
Yeah. So there's a world if that's flying for you in that slot. There's a world you could get another Stalker
Yeah.
that probably would complement that a little bit. But
Absolutely.
that takes us to today's suggestion because I think that especially as a forehand dominant player, the gap that I'm seeing is when you jump from the zone for your overstable options. You mentioned a Raptor. You've been throwing that.
Yes.
It's not on the chart, but do you have a
No.
Raptor in your bag?
Unfortunately not at this moment because I did throw it in the lake at Trophy Lakes.
Yikes. Yikes.
It was a great Raptor though because it was beat in. I did beat this one in. Just a great forehand with a slight fade.
Okay. Yeah.
It was money. And I miss it, but
Hey.
you win
That's-
some, you lose some.
You do lose some. That is the truth. So there's a big jump from the zone up to what will soon be, I'm sure, another Raptor to fill in
Yes.
that slot.
Yes.
So there's a big gap. What fills that gap? What do we look at? And that's why we have today's suggestions. Brad, talk us through them. What do we got?
All right, so Robbie had me try a couple overstable, I would say very overstable mid-ranges here. So I have the MVP Pyro, and I have it in the Prism Proton plastic. And then I also have a Tour Series Macy Valadiaz Lucid Ice Justice. So that's what we're going to be talking through today. So I will say too, Silas, this is a spot I know I've been missing in my bag, and when we played our last couple weeklies, I've had shots where I'm like, man, I wish I had like maybe a little longer zone that was maybe, because my zones they're still overstable, but they're not as overstable as they once were.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I really need to get around this tree and flex around it, but I really need to get back and sit down. So I'm not going to throw like a vulture. I'm not going to throw anything else on forehand. It's going to skip too far and flare out. So yeah, definitely this is a good episode for me too, because I need this slot, and I've honestly been unwilling to put an overstable mid-range in my bag, and I think a lot of it for me, and I usually talk about feel first, is the feel. The rim, like I'm thinking about like a Wasp, also something like that. Yeah. There's a very distinct like rim shape. It seems like all these overstable mids have. Obviously, it's the physics of how they fly, but they don't feel really great in my hand. So for today's episode, I was like, okay, I'm just going to ignore that. It is what it is. If I want this type of disc in my bag, I'm going to have to just get over it and throw something that's like that. I will say the Lucid Ice Plastic Justice, I really like it. Actually, I love the feel of it. Very, very sea line, if I have to be honest. It's very, very similar to like a new FD, something like that. A little gummy, but not too gummy. Whereas the Pyro is a little more stiff. Still feels good in the hand. The gyro, the outside overmold is a little more slick than the Proton plastic, so I had to be careful throwing it out in the dew this morning. But the Pyro is a little bit more stiff, which typically I like, especially with something that I'm going to throw forehand with. I like a little bit more stiff. So feel initially, they both feel pretty good, despite like the shape that's just a little uncomfortable and unfamiliar to me. If I had to give a winner to the overall feel of the disc, honestly have to go with the Lucid Ice Justice. I do like the feel of that disc a little bit better. It made the uncomfortable rim shape a little bit more tolerable just because it felt good, so good otherwise.
Yeah.
So obviously these are very overstable discs. I would say especially for me. I think the fade on the Justice is a 4. For me, it was like a 400. If I'm being honest, it was very overstable. I think the Pyro is what, a 2.5 on the fade.
Yeah,
If
something
I'm
like that.
remembering correctly, I'm sorry if I get that wrong, but I definitely could tell. It was definitely overstable, but not like I'm going to get to the ground immediately overstable. So on flat backhand, and this is a common theme with the Pyro as far as distance is concerned, the Pyro would not on any line whatsoever on forehand, backhand, would not go any farther than like 230, 240 feet. It would not. It would just, it's like there was a wall and it just did not go past that, which at first I was like, what the heck's going on? But I'll wrap it up at the end. I really kind of like that. I like knowing that, and Silas, you mentioned it earlier with the slammer, the sake bomb slammer, that you just know that disc will not go above 200 feet. It's just going to go to the ground. So I think there's definitely a use for that, knowing that solid distance and you're not going to blow past the basket, or I need to make sure I don't go over this hill by the basket or whatever. Justice on flat backhand went about 190. Like I said, out of the hand on flat backhand for me, this Justice just wanted to go left every time. It was like, think of the last time you threw in a crosswind, right to left crosswind, and you threw like a, just a neutral disc and it carries it to the left. That's what it's like. There was wind with this Justice. It really wanted to go left. And what's cool with this mid is, this grass was pretty long on the field I was throwing with. I was still getting a flare skip with the Justice. Like that's how much how overstability it has. It was still skipping for me on the ground. And as far as the Pyro flat backhand, like I said, it would actually carry straight for a while before it decided to get back to the ground, which I definitely, what's cool, there was a lacrosse net in the middle of this football field, and I was kind of pretending like, hey, there's a tree right here. I need to get around this tree. Because I feel like that's how I would use the shot on the course. So the Pyro I'd throw out there, it would go straight and then dump past the tree at about, starting at like 175 feet or so. It would go straight until about then, and then it would decide to go left. And again, still pretty overstable. Pyro definitely went farther on every throw, noticeably farther on every throw, 30 to 40 feet every time. And I think it's because of the glide. I mean, Pyro definitely has more glide, according to the flight numbers. So I definitely saw that on flat backhand. Heiser backhand, we all know what happened on Heiser backhand. I don't think I need to go into that,
all
right?
turned over.
Yeah, they flipped so far. No, yeah, they were all very overstable. I mean, maybe there's a use for this, and I'm just not there yet, Robbie. But I don't know that I really need to throw a spike Heiser with a mid range per se. Again, I'm sure you could. I'm sure there's some sort of random shot that's good for, but I mean, these are like spike Heisers, so I don't know if you really needed to get by a tree and you didn't want to go past 230 feet. Maybe I'm throwing the Pyro and spike Heiser, but really, that's just, it is what it is. You'd expect. I mean, neither one of them went farther than 200 feet for me. They just really got back to the ground on a Heiser angle. So
as a quick note on that, I will say for those of you, the shot for that is a spike Heiser with a mid range is generally more forgiving than a spike Heiser with a fairway driver or anything like that. Because if you don't get your angle right, and you go a little too flat with you're trying to go spike Heiser and you don't go so spiky, it just comes out as a little Heisery. The mid range is less likely to skip when it hits, as opposed to the fairway wants to come in. Just as a quick note there, because that
makes sense.
Definitely an important note. But you're right, may not be where you're at in your game right now. Totally fair.
Yeah. Well, maybe it should be. Again, I think some of it's just an experience, right?
Yeah.
And that's
why
you're on here.
Yeah, why I wanted to share that.
So yeah, definitely be thinking about that next time. Anheuser backhand was like kind of what I was excited to throw. Again, I think there's a lot of utility in that sort of shot for this mid range that I don't have. I've been loving the Nebula, and I mean the Nebula is not overstable. It does have a nice finish at the end, but I was trying to make the Nebula be like super stable, like overstable, like one of these discs. So this Anheuser backhand, Flex lines for both of them, obviously. The interesting part was this Justice. It just did not want to go right. It did not want to turn. Like when I'm gauging like Anheuser and Heiser shots, I'm trying to think of like straight from my front foot. There's like this line. That's that 0 line on any of the apps that show your stability, right? And I'm like, okay, how far to the right in the negatives does it go, and how far in the left to the positive? So, like the Justice, if I'm thinking like straight line here is 0, I mean the Justice maybe went to like -0.5, -0.5 over here. That's all. It was like it was afraid to turn. Like it will not go over there. It would a little bit and then just get back left very quickly. I even tried some like what I would consider a roller angle Anheuser that I would throw with something, and it would still just barely flex or barely turn over and then flex back to the left. Again,
Sure.
there's probably utility for that. My bag doesn't need that right now. Maybe I did if I played some different courses or harder courses or who knows. But for me, don't love that shot with the Justice. The Pyro, though, was that very like cliche S turn that I wanted to see. I didn't have to put it. I had to put a little bit more Anheuser than I would typically on something else. So I did have to encourage it to get to the turn a little bit, but it did give me a nice S turn that I wanted every time. Again, I'm looking at this lacrosse net in the middle of the field, and I'm like, that's a tree. And I would kind of angle myself like so I was like dead on it, or maybe a little to the left, and say, okay, I need to S turn this around, but I need to get back because the basket's on the left. And it did that for me every time. Again, did not go any farther than like 235 feet every time I did that. It did not go farther. The Justice, I did get about 20 to 30 more feet on the flex line, though. It did keep it in the air a little bit longer. But for me, the Pyro, if I was looking for that nice S turn, it really gave me that nice S turn without having to like give it like this abnormal amount of Anheuser. It would still come fade back to the left. So loved that. So forehand, as you know, I'm developing my forehand, so it's getting there. And my zones, I have 2 photon zones in my bag, Silas, and they both are a little bit different degrees of beat in. One is the one I've beat in, and the other one's that was my 8-year-old's, and he has just destroyed it. So it's like actually a little flippy, which is funny. It got left on a roof for like 3 weeks in the sun last summer.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
it did some things. It did some things to that disc. But anyway, even with those, even with my Crystal Flex like Get Freaky zone, which I lean on heavily, I'm not. I think I said it before. 150, 180 feet out. Like I feel very comfortable with that disc. I feel like I'm pretty accurate. But it's not something I'm going to say is like super overstable for me. If I need that shot, it is consistently overstable, but not like I need to flex this. I wouldn't feel comfortable flexing, doing a flex forehand with my Get Freaky zone, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So flat forehand with the Pyro and the Justice. I keep almost calling the Justice the Felon because it flew exactly like that Fusion X Felon that I did on one of the first episodes. It's just like the mid-range version of that in my mind.
Yeah.
So flat forehand, you can imagine. Now, I will say the Justice was a little bit more forgiving if I like rolled my wrist a little bit or something like that. It was not ever turning over. It was not ever flexing at all. It just would come out and get back to the ground. Again, 210 feet was like max distance on that. You can probably guess the Pyro. It would come out pretty relatively straight, and it would give me a consistent fade back, but would not go farther than 230 feet, even on forehand. Just it wanted to go there. I will say I did feel like I got the rotation necessary on the Pyro, so it did like carry straight farther with that consistent overstable finish for me. I guess it's the only difference in flight from the flat backhand versus the flat forehand, if we're talking about the fade and things like that. Anheuser forehand. Again, I could get a nice S turn out of the Pyro, just like I could on backhand, and it was very consistent fade out. And then you can imagine the Justice was this. I couldn't really get it to flex a whole lot for me. It would flex a little bit more on forehand than it would on backhand. Again, I think it's just a matter of like getting it up to rotation a little bit closer to what it wants to be. But it was still consistently overstable and did not want to give me that nice S turn that I really wanted to see on the Annie. And then hyzer forehand is the same way. I do see maybe a use now that we talked about it, Robbie, on a hyzer release forehand with both of these discs, because I did try them, maybe a little bit out of frustration at the end of this. I just kind of chucked them as hard as I could on hyzer forehand, and I love they actually went pretty far. Again, as far as like linear distance, they didn't go any farther, but like as far as power and height, I still got a decent amount of height on these throws. And when they hit the ground, they smacked down, flipped a little bit, and sat, which again, I think is a little bit better and more forgiving now that you say it than if I'm going to throw like a vulture or a raptor that way.
For sure.
I would definitely be afraid of missing the angle in a skip or a roll away sort of cut roll situation. So I definitely see the value there in those. So I guess key takeaways, like I said before, the Lucid Ice Justice is like the Fusion X Felon of mid ranges. So this disc is super super overstable. I will note too that the Pyro is 176, and I guess the Justice was 173, but definitely the Pyro felt heavy for sure. But again, I think that's valuable if you want something to stick and sit, which is kind of the shot I'm going to throw. I love that the Pyro would not go farther than 230 feet from me, because it seems like there's like a weird gap in my game where if something's like 200 feet to like 250, 260, I don't really know what disc to lean on. I feel like I'm going to overthrow the driver, and I feel like I'm not going to get there with maybe like a zone, or even if I like throw a Challenger OS or something like that, I don't feel like I'm comfortable in that distance. So maybe, and again, if I'm being honest, the Pyro and Justice probably aren't for me personally, but this type of disc that I can know the distance it's going to go, and I know that it's overstable and I can flex it, I think I really need that disc. But I really love knowing that it's not going to go, a disc is not going to go farther than X feet. So hopefully I can find that maybe in another overstable mid-range. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely missing this spot too, Silas. So Robbie, I'll throw it back over to you. You're the expert here. That's how they flew for me. I mean, Silas's forehand's obviously better than mine, so maybe you have some tips and tricks there. But I'm not sure personally. I don't find a clear winner on my end. I did like the Pyro. The Pyro was almost there for me, but I feel like I feel like there's a better option for me still.
Yeah. So I think you kind of nailed it on the head of Silas, you have a strong forehand. You love your forehand. Do you often find yourself throwing your get freaky on flex lines at all?
Not a ton. Not a ton. I will say I feel like I throw it more of flat.
Yeah.
When I do throw it.
Yeah. But like flex lines on a destroyer or a nuke are pretty comfortable for you.
Yeah.
So I think this could be and when you had RIP, the Raptor, but when you had it, were you throwing it on some flex lines at all?
At times, yes.
So I think if you like the flex line shot, I think if I was teaching someone a forehand, I wouldn't say you need to throw a ton of flex lines, because I think it creates bad habits. But that's not me saying, oh yeah, you have a bad forehand. If you already have that shot that you comfortably throw, I throw flex forehands because it's a shot that you need to have in your game. And I think this could fill a really comfortable slot. Brad mentioned that the Pyro has a 2.5 fade. I personally think that number is a little off. I think that fade is a little higher. I would put it up to like a 3 all the way, because
I'd agree with that.
When I think of 2.5 fade, I've seen discs that like a T-Bird or your Stalker, as a great example, has 2 fade, but you don't feel like that Stalker actually has 2 fade.
Yeah.
So if you throw the Pyro and the Stalker side by side, I don't think you would say, oh, it's just a 0.5 difference.
Yeah, right.
Sorry about that, audio listeners. Got all choked up just talking about fade. So I think that flex line option could be something really strong for you.
Okay.
That especially you find yourself in the woods and you need, because your sake bomb slammer, I bet you can throw
Yeah.
on some flex lines
Yes.
pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
So what if I need to flex around this tree and it's 250 feet? It's going to be a touchy destroyer shot.
Yes.
It's going to be a pump for the slammer. Bada boom, bada bing.
There
It
we
could be a
go.
justice. It could be a pyro. So I feel that there's not a lot of times that you need the 320-foot flex shot. But when you find yourself scrambling, which, let's be real, guys, if we're not pros, we scramble pretty often.
Oh yeah.
So
That's the truth.
if I were building a new player's toolbox, I would try to make sure that they had every shot covered 250 feet and in
Yeah.
before they had every shot covered up to 400 feet. Like, you're just going to find yourself needing those 250. Every hole, no matter how long it is, 250 feet is going to come into play.
Yeah.
Every hole 500 feet may not be in play. So I think you can get back to, like, when we get back to the shop, when you get back it up there, if I were you, I would feel both and see which one feels more comfortable in your hand.
Yeah.
And see, which one do I want to lean on? And I would try that out for a little bit and think of it in that flex line overstable shot. And I think Brad nailed it. On a backhand, I don't know that these discs, for me even, I have a Justice in my bag, and I don't throw my Justice on backhand very often
Yeah.
because I don't think these discs fly well. They're not designed for that. But on a forehand option, I think it could be a really good field shot, but also an approach shot, a longer approach as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Awesome.
I would be very curious. Would you be willing to come back on and let us know how it goes?
For sure. For sure.
Come on. Well, Brad, thank you for going and trying them. Silas, thanks for being on, man.
Yeah.
And thanks for all you do for our podcast. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
we appreciate you.
Absolutely. So this is odd because normally we'd like transition out and wrap things up and do all these different things, but we actually want to bring on a special guest instead of our normal What's New in the Warehouse. We want to bring on, we are in a different setting, and we want to have those guests on to kind of talk about the store and see what's coming in the Charleston area.
All right, we have Avery and Dylan here at the Foundation Charleston store. What's up, guys?
What's up, Brad?
What's up?
Yeah, good to see you. I'm pumped to get down there tomorrow. I know you're doing a lot of stuff there, getting ready for the grand opening. So tell us a little bit, like, what's coming? I know you guys are in the background stocking some stuff right now.
Yeah, so we are just getting some final bits of inventory in. We got Innova in yesterday, about 500 discs, anything from Star Plastic to DX Plastic. We've got some really cool DX polecats, so it's going to be really cool to have
Nice.
people come down and grab some of those. And we have some Lone Star, some Westside Gateway, Trilogy, obviously. And we're finalizing it today, and tomorrow we'll be getting up the last bits.
Nice, yeah. And I know that Avery, I think, has it there. We have a very special disc available for the grand opening, that Midnight Dark Horse Nuke. So dark you can't even see it. Yeah. Beautiful disc. How do they feel, guys?
They feel amazing.
Yeah.
I want to go out and throw it right now.
Yeah, yeah. They so there's only gonna be 100 of those. Is that right?
Yeah, 100.
So yeah. So get there early. I know at our grand opening, there was a line. People were in there for like 2.5 hours. So just make sure you're there. Again, you guys are gonna have what, food trucks? Tell us about the food trucks. What's gonna be there for the grand opening?
Yeah, we have a couple food trucks lined up. There will be Lassant food truck. They sell like Southern foods, so hamburgers, hot dogs, Philly cheesesteaks, things like that. And then we'll have
Delicious.
Booze Pops trucks out here for all the cool down popsicles and things like that.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to all the food trucks for sure. So it's going to be a fun environment. It's not just going to be standing in the line waiting for something. Everyone's going to be there. bunch of the creators are going to be there doing signings. I'm sure all of us will be in and out saying hi to everybody. So it'll be a fun environment, just not a line to stay in. Yeah, and you mentioned the nukes here. I'm also bringing out a few special things that Brody had sent over. Like we'll have some Janus Thrashers
Nice.
that will,
Nice.
again, very limited. Have these very beautiful, beautiful Dark Horse Undertakers. And then I'll have some Brody Avenger SS's, along with a few other custom Brody stamp discs. Typically, you can only get those in his Discraft store, but Discraft was very gracious and allowed us to grab quite a few of those. And, a handful of them are going to be here in our Forest location, but we're going to bring some down to you all as well. So not only will the nukes be there, but there'll be several other exclusive Dark Horse discs. So please come. Just enjoy the environment. I mean, really, it's going to be a great time. They're going to have all the discs that we have in our retail store here in Forest, as well as online. And if it's in the Foundation store somewhere, it's going to be in their store. They have everything but DGA. There's been a delay on that, but literally everything else. So I'll be bringing that down, and I'll be bringing down. You mentioned Innova Plastic, just got some of their factory store stuff in, so I'll be bringing down a few of those to be on the shelves as well.
Awesome.
So very excited. I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. You guys have been working so hard on this, getting it ready for everybody. So I can't wait to be down tomorrow, see it. I will say I'm very jealous of your checkout counter. It is way better than ours up here. So yeah, we're definitely going to be. I told Hunter the other day that we can't let their desk be better than ours, Hunter. We've got to get a better desk in here. So love it. Thanks for all that you guys are doing. And anything you want to say before we cut out here to the wrap up? For any listeners or any Charleston folks for the grand opening?
Charleston's excited to have everyone come from out of state, out of any distance. There are people who are coming, traveling hours away. We're going to put on a good show. We're going to have people here buying discs. We're going to have everything that everybody wants, and hopefully enough. But you definitely want to get in for the 100 Midnight Nukes. Get here, get in line. We'll be opening at 5 on Saturday the 16th.
Yeah, we just want to say
Awesome.
thank you to Brad and all the Foundation guys for making this a very special week for us.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we thank you guys because we couldn't, it's because of people like you that cool things happen. So you're putting in the blood, sweat, and tears. So thank you guys. We appreciate you a ton and can't wait to be down there with you. So we'll see you soon.
Awesome.
All right.
Y'all, I am so pumped. While y'all were talking, I am just roaming around the shop thinking to myself, man, I hope that the other people who are coming here to the checkout, I hope they don't buy this disc because I will 100% be picking up some new plastic while I'm here. Pumped for Foundation Charleston to open. Are you excited, Silas?
Oh, I'm so excited. Like you said, it's not just us, Foundation, going to be here. You're obviously here. Brody's going to be here. Tons of other Overthrow, tons of other YouTube channels going to be here for signings, for all of this collabing. You're going to see videos on everyone's channel. It's just going to be a great time, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, it has been incredible. Yeah. Brad, we're excited for you to get down here, man. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, me too. Yep, going to bring the wife and boys down too, so they're excited to go out and watch some good disc golf and see all the people we watch on YouTube all the time. Yeah. So shout out to everybody for making the trip. Thank you to all the fans and customers coming to support local disc golf. Very, very important. I know Charleston's booming with disc golf. Let's keep it up. Let's get people in the store. You're going to have a knowledgeable staff that knows discs, and we're going to keep them stocked up. So they're going to have all the latest and greatest stuff all the time. So please support your local disc golf shop. Please stop by for the grand opening. Again, we're going to have those Midnight Nukes there, which are going to be awesome. Brody's going to be there to sign them. I teased a few other little exclusive Dark Horse discs that are going to be there as well. There's very few of those, so please get there early. There's going to be a line. Get there early. There's going to be food trucks, so you have some good eating when you're standing in line. So I'm just so excited. I'm more grateful and humbled probably than anything. Yeah. It's so cool to just have the support and all the people showing up. And I know we probably say it a lot, but we appreciate everybody. Without you all, we can't do what we do. And thank you for supporting us. Yeah. We love what we do, and hopefully we're some value to you.
Yeah, we appreciate all of you listening, all of you tuning in. For our YouTube watchers, make sure that you leave us a comment. Let us know let us know for today's giveaway. We want to know, what is your favorite type of shoe that you wear when you're going to be running over here to the Foundation store here in Charleston. So let us know favorite type of shoe for you for sneakerheads out there. Educate me, because I wear basic black Nikes because I am a basic human being. So I am grateful for all of you listening. Let us know in the comments below. And remember, as always, if it's good,
Keep it in the bag.
See you next week.